Re. Introduction. The challenge of living well. What if the key to living a peaceful and fulfilled life wasn't about chasing after more success, wealth, or status, but about understanding how to live in harmony with ourselves and the world around us? In today's world, it feels like we're constantly running after something, whether it's the next promotion, the approval of others, or the latest trend. Yet, despite having more than previous generations, many of us still feel overwhelmed, anxious, and disconnected. We crave happiness and inner peace, but the path to those elusive states often feels unclear, and sometimes even impossible. So, where do we turn for answers? The truth is, the answers to these age-old questions are not as modern as we might think. Two ancient philosophies, Epicureanism and Stoicism, offer profound insights into how we can live well in today's chaotic world. Though they emerged thousands of years ago, their teachings are still deeply relevant, offering wisdom for overcoming stress, finding happiness, and cultivating lasting peace. The question arises: how can two ancient philosophies provide a roadmap for happiness in our fast-paced modern lives? The quest for happiness in a chaotic world. In our modern society, there's a constant pressure to do more, achieve more, and be more. From the moment we wake up to the moment we fall asleep, we are bombarded with demands on our time and energy. Social media presents an idealized version of success that often leaves us feeling inadequate or like we're falling behind. The constant comparison, the race for bigger homes, better jobs, and more followers has made many of us feel like we're not enough as we are. Yet despite all of this external pursuit, many still find themselves struggling with internal chaos, stress, anxiety, and a sense of dissatisfaction that never quite fades. We may achieve everything we set out to do, but still, we ask ourselves, is this all there is? Why do I still feel like something is missing? Both Epicurus and Stoicism present philosophies that cut through this modern noise. They remind us that happiness is not something that can be obtained by accumulating wealth, social status, or possessions. Instead, true happiness comes from within. The key lies in understanding our own desires, controlling our emotions, and shaping our reactions to the world around us. Epicurus, the philosopher of pleasure and simplicity. Epicurus, one of the central figures in Greek philosophy, taught that the ultimate goal of life is to achieve pleasure, but not in the way we might think. His philosophy doesn't advocate for indulgence or excess. Instead, it focuses on the idea that true pleasure comes from living simply, cultivating friendships, and avoiding unnecessary pain. In Epicurus's view, the greatest pleasure isn't in fleeting physical indulgences, but in finding mental tranquility and freedom from unnecessary desires. In our world today, where consumerism often tells us that happiness is found in having more things, more experiences, more attention, Epicurus presents a counterpoint. True happiness is found in less. It is about cultivating contentment with what we have, removing the fear of missing out, and embracing a simpler, more mindful existence. Epicurus and Stoicism, the philosophy of resilience and control. On the other side, we have Stoicism, a philosophy developed by Zeno of Citium and later refined by figures like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control external events, we can control how we respond to them. For the Stoics, happiness is not dependent on what happens to us, but how we approach life's challenges. Through virtue, living in accordance with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we can cultivate a resilient mindset that allows us to find peace regardless of external circumstances. Unlike Epicurus, who focused on seeking pleasure and avoiding pain, the Stoics embraced hardship as a natural part of life. They understood that suffering is inevitable, but it is how we face it that matters. By focusing on the things within our control, our reactions, our thoughts, and our actions, we free ourselves from the turmoil that comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. The promise of both philosophies, living well in a chaotic world. Epicurus and Stoicism offer us two distinct paths to achieving a fulfilling life. One path teaches us to seek tranquility through the pursuit of simple pleasures and freedom from fear, while the other emphasizes resilience and emotional control, even in the face of adversity. While these philosophies may seem at odds, they both advocate for a life lived with intention and mindfulness, and they each offer a way to find peace amidst the noise of the world. In this series, we will explore both Epicureanism and Stoicism in depth. We'll look at their core principles, how they differ, and how their teachings can be applied to our modern lives. Whether we are drawn to the quiet pleasures of Epicurus or the emotional fortitude of the Stoics, both philosophies have something valuable to offer those of us seeking a more peaceful, meaningful existence. So, what's the best way to live? In the following chapters, we'll dive into these two ancient paths to happiness and explore which might resonate with you the most, or perhaps how you might combine elements from both to create your own approach to living well. Who was Epicurus? The philosopher of simple pleasures. In the quest for happiness and fulfillment, one name stands out as a beacon for those seeking a more thoughtful, peaceful existence. Epicurus, the Greek philosopher, who advocated for a life centered around simple pleasures, mental tranquility, and the reduction of unnecessary desires. In this chapter, we will delve into the life of Epicurus, his philosophy, and how his ideas about pleasure and happiness continue to resonate today, especially in a world where excess and materialism often dominate. Epicurus was born on the island of Samos in 341 BCE. His early life was marked by the turbulence of war and political upheaval, a backdrop that would shape his philosophy. At the age of 18, he began his philosophical studies, and over time, he developed a following that would form the basis of his school of thought, known as Epicureanism. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Epicurus sought to make philosophy accessible to everyone, not just the elite. He founded a school of philosophy called the Garden in Athens, which was notable for its inclusivity. It welcomed people of all social classes, including women and slaves, who were often excluded from intellectual circles. Epicurus emphasized the importance of a communal life of friendship, shared knowledge, and a pursuit of pleasure that was grounded in wisdom. Throughout his life, Epicurus wrote numerous texts, although few have survived. His most significant work, Letter to Minucius, outlines his philosophy and serves as a guide to achieving happiness through a life of moderation and the cultivation of mental peace. Despite the influence of his ideas, Epicurus's philosophy was often misunderstood, and over time, it became associated with hedonism, a misinterpretation that his teachings explicitly refute. For Epicurus, the foundation of happiness was based on the concept of pleasure, but not in the way we might imagine. Unlike the modern perception of pleasure as indulgence in excess or luxury, Epicurus believed that true pleasure is the absence of pain, both physical and mental. This notion, called ataraxia, refers to a state of serene calm, free from anxiety, fear, and distress. Epicurus argued that life's greatest joys do not come from indulgence in excess, but from the absence of unnecessary pain and fear. He saw pain, whether physical or emotional, as the greatest evil, and pleasure as the natural goal of life, but only in moderation. Excessive pleasures, whether in food, drink, or material possessions, lead to discomfort, regret, and more pain, as they leave us in a perpetual state of craving or dissatisfaction. Epicurus famously stated, "The absence of pain is the greatest pleasure." For him, pleasure was about moderation, about having just enough to feel content without being overwhelmed by desire or excess. Rather than seeking out new, ever more stimulating pleasures, he advocated for a life of mental pleasure, one that is centered on peace of mind, satisfaction, and the fulfillment of our basic natural needs. One of the core tenets of Epicureanism is the importance of friendship. Epicurus believed that true happiness is rooted in our relationships with others. In the letter to Menocius, he wrote, "Of all the things that wisdom provides to help one live one's entire life in happiness, the greatest by far is the possession of friendship." According to Epicurus, friendships not only provide emotional support, but also offer opportunities for shared pleasures, intellectual growth, and the removal of the fears that often plague us. Beyond friendship, Epicurus emphasized the need for moderation in all aspects of life. He didn't encourage asceticism or self-denial, but instead proposed that we should focus on fulfilling our basic needs, simple food, shelter, and clothing, while avoiding unnecessary indulgence. By living simply, we avoid the distress that often comes with excess. Epicurus encouraged his followers to prioritize their mental well-being over the accumulation of material wealth or status. This approach resonates with modern movements like minimalism, which advocates for a simpler, more intentional life, where happiness comes from experiences, relationships, and personal fulfillment, rather than possessions. Epicurus believed that we should focus on finding lasting pleasure rather than fleeting moments of satisfaction that ultimately lead to disappointment. He posited that our natural desires, food, drink, shelter, and companionship, are essential to happiness, but that desires beyond these, such as wealth, fame, or power, often lead to more stress, dissatisfaction, and conflict. For Epicurus, simplicity was key. He argued that people are often misled by the belief that more will bring them happiness. In reality, when we accumulate excess wealth or chase after superficial desires, we burden ourselves with more responsibilities, fears, and anxieties. Epicurus's ideal life is one where we remove these distractions and focus on the things that truly matter: our relationships, our health, and our inner peace. This philosophy is particularly relevant today in a world that is driven by consumerism and the constant pursuit of more. The modern-day obsession with acquiring possessions or achieving ever greater levels of success can leave us feeling empty and unfulfilled. Epicurus's focus on simplicity and mental pleasure offers a powerful antidote to this constant striving. By reducing unnecessary wants, we create space for deeper, more meaningful experiences. In contrast to Epicurus's vision of moderation, modern society often equates happiness with indulgence and excess. Advertising, social media, and popular culture bombard us with messages that we need more. More gadgets, more travel, more status, more experiences to be happy. This constant chase for the next big thing can leave us feeling anxious, unfulfilled, and perpetually dissatisfied. Epicurus challenges this mindset by reminding us that true contentment lies in reducing desires rather than inflating them. The more we seek to satisfy excess desires, the more we open ourselves up to pain, disappointment, and fear. Epicurus encourages us to seek mental pleasure, not through material accumulation, but through meaningful relationships, self-reflection, and the pursuit of a life that aligns with our deepest values. Epicureanism's emphasis on simplicity, contentment, and mental peace has had a lasting influence on modern society. The rise of minimalism as a lifestyle choice, which advocates for reducing physical clutter and focusing on life's essential pleasures, reflects many of Epicurus's core principles. Similarly, conscious consumption, the idea of being mindful about what we buy and why we buy it, aligns with his philosophy of reducing unnecessary desires and focusing on long-term happiness rather than short-term gratification. Incorporating Epicurean ideas into our daily lives can be transformative. By cultivating deeper friendships, simplifying our wants, and seeking mental clarity over external achievement, we can reduce the anxieties and pressures that often hold us back from living a peaceful, fulfilling life. Epicurus shows us that true happiness doesn't lie in chasing external markers of success, but in living a life grounded in simplicity, moderation, and mental well-being. In the following chapters, we will explore how to apply these timeless ideas in the context of our modern lives, and how Epicurus's teachings can serve as a guide to navigating the complexities of contemporary existence. Whether we seek to eliminate unnecessary stress, reduce material clutter, or cultivate deeper connections, the principles of Epicureanism offer a valuable roadmap for living a life of true happiness and peace. Who was Zeno and the foundations of Stoicism? In the world of philosophy, one name stands as the cornerstone of an enduring tradition that continues to inspire individuals seeking tranquility, strength, and resilience in the face of life's challenges: Zeno of Citium. A man born in Cyprus in the early 3rd century BCE, Zeno's teachings laid the foundation for what would become one of the most influential schools of thought in Western philosophy: Stoicism. While his life may not have been as widely documented as some other philosophers, the principles he imparted through his school resonate deeply today, offering guidance for how we can respond to adversity with grace, find peace in difficult circumstances, and develop the mental resilience needed to navigate the complexities of modern life. Zeno, who lived through the collapse of his family's wealth and the hardships of his early life, was a man deeply aware of life's inherent instability. This understanding led him to reject the pursuit of external goods like wealth, pleasure, and power, which were seen as fleeting and unreliable sources of happiness. Instead, Zeno focused on how individuals can cultivate true happiness through their inner responses to the world around them, rather than seeking satisfaction from external conditions. He founded the Stoic school of philosophy in Athens, which was named after the Stoa Poikile, the painted porch, a public space where Zeno taught. His teachings emphasized that living a virtuous life, aligned with nature and reason, was the true path to happiness and fulfillment. In this chapter, we will delve into the core principles of Stoicism, exploring how Zeno's ideas were expanded by later Stoic philosophers, such as Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, and how their wisdom can be applied to our lives today. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the idea of living in harmony with nature. For Stoics, nature is not just a physical environment, but a broader cosmic order. Everything in the universe, from the stars in the sky to the smallest living organism, operates according to natural laws. The Stoics believed that human beings, too, are part of this larger natural order, and our true purpose lies in living in accordance with it. This means accepting the inherent unpredictability of life, acknowledging that suffering and pain are inevitable parts of the human experience, and embracing them as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to happiness. Stoicism teaches that external events, whether positive or negative, are beyond our control. What we can control, however, is how we react to them. Thus, happiness for a Stoic is not found in external circumstances, but in our ability to maintain inner peace regardless of the events happening around us. This brings us to one of the central Stoic ideas: the acceptance of pain and suffering as part of growth. In Stoic philosophy, challenges, hardships, and even pain are not seen as purely negative or to be avoided at all costs. Instead, they are viewed as integral to our personal development. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously stated, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." For Epictetus, as for Zeno, life's difficulties are opportunities for exercising and strengthening our virtues. Pain and suffering, rather than being viewed as burdens, are reframed as tools for cultivating resilience, courage, and wisdom. This acceptance does not mean that the Stoics advocate for passivity or indifference to pain. Rather, they emphasize the importance of cultivating emotional resilience and learning how to respond to pain in a way that does not disrupt our peace of mind. One of the most notable aspects of Stoicism is its focus on self-control, virtue, and resilience. For Stoics, virtues such as wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance are not merely theoretical ideals, but practical qualities that can be cultivated and lived out every day. The Stoic philosopher's goal is to develop these virtues to the fullest extent, using them as tools for navigating life's challenges. Instead of reacting impulsively to circumstances, a Stoic strives to remain calm and thoughtful, acting in accordance with reason rather than emotion. This is particularly important in moments of stress when we may be tempted to give in to anger, fear, or frustration. The Stoics teach us that true power lies not in controlling the external world, but in mastering our responses to it. By focusing on what is within our control, our actions, attitudes, and judgments, we can maintain our tranquility even when external events threaten to overwhelm us. The importance of controlling our emotions and focusing on what is within our control is one of the central tenets of Stoicism. Unlike the modern view that emotions are something to be either suppressed or indulged, the Stoics teach that emotions should be understood and controlled through reason. This doesn't mean becoming emotionless robots, but rather learning how to differentiate between emotions that arise from our interpretations of events and those that are rational responses to the situation at hand. For instance, when facing a stressful situation, the Stoic will pause to reflect. Is this within my control? Can I influence the outcome? Or is my anxiety about it simply a result of my own expectations and desires? By recognizing that many of our emotional reactions are based on misperceptions or unrealistic expectations, we can choose to respond more thoughtfully and peacefully. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca were advocates of daily reflection, a practice that allowed them to stay grounded in their values and maintain clarity of mind amid the chaos of their lives. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, was perhaps the most famous practitioner of Stoicism, and his personal writings, known as Meditations, provide a powerful example of how reflection can help guide our actions and thoughts. In his journals, Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that life is transient, that external circumstances are beyond his control, and that true peace lies in accepting what is and focusing on how to live virtuously. Similarly, Seneca, in his letters to Lucilius, encouraged his friend to engage in daily self-reflection, asking questions like, "Did I act in accordance with my values today?" Or, "What can I do better tomorrow?" This habit of regular introspection allows us to stay aligned with our goals and virtues, helping us remain calm and composed when life becomes difficult. The beauty of Stoicism is that its principles can be applied in everyday stressful situations, whether in our work life, family dynamics, or personal challenges. For instance, if you're facing a stressful situation at work, a Stoic would advise you to focus on what you can control: your attitude, your response, and your actions. If you're dealing with an argument or conflict in your personal life, the Stoic approach would be to stay calm, listen thoughtfully, and respond with empathy, rather than reacting impulsively with anger or frustration. By adopting Stoic principles, we can transform how we experience stress and adversity. We don't need to change the circumstances, but we can change how we react to them, cultivating a mindset of resilience and inner peace. The Stoic view on life can be summarized in a simple yet profound statement. Happiness depends on how we react to events, not on what happens. It is not the events themselves that dictate our happiness, but the meanings and interpretations we assign to them. Stoicism teaches us that we have the power to choose our response, and in doing so, we reclaim our inner peace and sense of control. By focusing on what is within our power, our own thoughts, emotions, and actions, we can navigate the complexities of life with a sense of calm and purpose, regardless of the challenges we face. In the next chapter, we will explore how to apply Stoic principles in real-life situations, offering practical strategies for bringing Stoicism into your daily life and cultivating resilience in the face of adversity. Epicurus versus Stoicism, the confrontation of views. In this chapter, we confront two of the most prominent philosophical schools of thought from ancient Greece and Rome: Epicureanism and Stoicism. While both offer insights into how to live a good life and manage life's inherent challenges, their approaches are vastly different. By examining the fundamental ideas behind each philosophy, we can better understand how they diverge in their views on happiness, suffering, and how we should live in the face of life's difficulties. Epicureanism, founded by the philosopher Epicurus, revolves around the central pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. According to Epicurus, true happiness is found in simple pleasures and the absence of suffering. He argued that the ultimate goal in life is to attain a state of tranquility and contentment, which he referred to as ataraxia, freedom from distress and worry. For Epicurus, pleasure isn't merely about indulgence in sensory experiences, but rather about cultivating mental peace through moderation, wisdom, and friendship. His philosophy encourages people to minimize pain, eliminate unnecessary desires, and appreciate the small joys of life. Epicureanism teaches that the good life is one where pleasure is maximized, and pain, especially the mental anguish caused by fears and desires, is minimized. On the other hand, Stoicism, founded by Zeno of Citium, offers a contrasting view of happiness and the role of suffering in life. The Stoics do not advocate for the avoidance of suffering, but rather for the acceptance of pain and adversity as essential components of the human experience. Stoicism emphasizes that happiness is found not in external pleasures, but in how we respond to life's challenges. For Stoics, the focus is not on pleasure, but on virtue, living according to reason, self-control, wisdom, and courage. The Stoics believe that external events are beyond our control, but our reactions to them are entirely within our power. Happiness, therefore, is not about seeking comfort or pleasure, but about maintaining inner peace regardless of external circumstances. For the Stoics, the pursuit of virtue is the highest good, and it is through the cultivation of virtues like courage, justice, and wisdom that one can find true contentment. One of the key points of divergence between Epicurus and Stoicism is how each philosophy addresses suffering. Epicurus teaches that suffering should be avoided whenever possible, and that happiness is attained through the elimination of unnecessary pain. He viewed physical and mental pain as obstacles to achieving tranquility, and urged his followers to seek a life of simplicity and moderation. According to Epicurus, the greatest pleasure is the absence of pain, and thus one should live in a way that minimizes stress, anxiety, and discomfort. In contrast, the Stoics do not see suffering as something to be avoided, but as an inevitable and valuable part of life. For the Stoics, suffering is an opportunity to practice resilience, self-control, and virtue. Pain and adversity are not seen as inherently negative, but as challenges that can strengthen the individual. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously stated, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This emphasis on emotional control and acceptance of suffering is central to Stoicism. Rather than running from pain, the Stoics teach that we should confront it, learn from it, and use it to build our character. When Epicurus and the Stoics meet in the modern world, we find that both philosophies still offer valuable insights into how to live a fulfilling life. Epicureanism's emphasis on simplicity, mindfulness, and conscious consumption resonates with the modern minimalism movement and the increasing desire to find peace in an overstimulated materialistic world. Many people today are seeking ways to escape the constant noise and stress of modern life, and Epicurean principles offer a guide to creating a more peaceful, balanced existence. Epicurus's focus on eliminating unnecessary desires and appreciating the small joys of life is a powerful antidote to the consumer-driven culture that often leaves people feeling overwhelmed and dissatisfied. At the same time, Stoicism has seen a resurgence in modern times, especially in the context of personal development and self-improvement. With the rise of mindfulness practices and mental resilience training, Stoic principles have become popular tools for managing stress and developing emotional control. The Stoic emphasis on focusing on what is within our control and accepting what is not has profound implications for modern life, where many people feel overwhelmed by external pressures and uncertainties. Stoicism teaches us that true happiness is not about seeking pleasure or avoiding pain, but about developing the strength and wisdom to face whatever life throws our way with dignity and calm. Both Epicurus and the Stoics offer practices that can help us achieve happiness, but the nature of those practices is different. For Epicurus, happiness is about finding contentment in the simplicity of life and the pleasures that come from meaningful relationships, moderation, and mental clarity. He advocates for practices like mindful eating, appreciating nature, and cultivating deep friendships, simple pleasures that don't require excess but provide lasting fulfillment. Epicurus's teachings encourage a life of balance, where one avoids overindulgence and focuses on cultivating inner peace through the enjoyment of life's smaller, more meaningful pleasures. In contrast, the Stoic approach to happiness involves the cultivation of virtues through daily practices of reflection, self-discipline, and emotional control. Stoics engage in regular exercises to examine their thoughts and actions, striving to live in accordance with their values and maintaining equanimity in the face of challenges. The Stoic practice of journaling, as seen in the writings of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, encourages individuals to reflect on their actions and thoughts daily, helping them stay grounded in their virtues. Stoics also engage in negative visualization, imagining worst-case scenarios to prepare emotionally for difficult situations and reduce the impact of unexpected events. Through these practices, Stoics develop resilience and emotional fortitude, focusing on cultivating wisdom, courage, and self-control. When comparing the daily practices of both Epicurus and the Stoics, we see two distinct paths toward happiness. Epicurus suggests a focus on enjoying simple pleasures, building deep relationships, and living a life free from unnecessary pain. His philosophy encourages us to seek peace through balance and moderation. The Stoics, however, encourage us to embrace life's challenges head-on, cultivating inner strength and virtue through discipline, reflection, and emotional mastery. While Epicurus teaches us to avoid excess and find contentment in simplicity, the Stoics ask us to rise above life's hardships and find peace in the face of adversity. In the end, the choice between Epicureanism and Stoicism comes down to one's approach to suffering, pleasure, and personal growth. Epicurus offers a philosophy that seeks peace through simplicity and the pursuit of lasting pleasures, while Stoicism invites us to grow stronger through our responses to life's inevitable struggles. Both philosophies provide valuable tools for navigating the complexities of life, and each offers a unique path toward a more fulfilling, resilient existence. The question is not which philosophy is better, but which one aligns more closely with your own values, goals, and experiences. By integrating the wisdom of both Epicurus and the Stoics into our lives, we can create a life that is both peaceful and resilient, grounded in virtue and contentment. The Epicurean life in practice. In this chapter, we explore how to apply the timeless wisdom of Epicureanism to our fast-paced modern lives. The philosophy of Epicurus offers a refreshing antidote to the chaos and consumerism that dominate our society. By embracing simplicity and focusing on the cultivation of genuine pleasure, we can craft a life that is not only joyful, but free from unnecessary pain and stress. But how do we put this into practice? How can we live an Epicurean life in a world that often seems obsessed with excess and complication? Living a simple life, full of genuine pleasure. At the core of Epicureanism is the belief that true happiness comes from simple pleasures. This may sound counterintuitive in a world that often equates happiness with wealth, status, or material possessions. But Epicurus teaches us that contentment lies not in accumulation, but in liberation from unnecessary desires. For Epicurus, pleasure is not about indulgence in extravagant experiences, but about cultivating a peaceful, balanced life where joy arises from the present moment, free from the distraction of endless wants. In our modern world, this can be achieved by slowing down and taking the time to appreciate the small, simple things around us. Instead of rushing through the day, we can choose to savor the moments, whether it's enjoying a warm cup of coffee in the morning, feeling the sun on our skin during a walk, or simply taking a deep breath and appreciating the present moment. Epicurus emphasizes that pleasure often lies in the most basic aspects of life, and it is our ability to find joy in these moments that brings us true satisfaction. The importance of friendship and self-care. Epicurus believed that one of the most powerful sources of pleasure and tranquility is friendship. For him, the bonds of genuine friendship were among the greatest joys in life. This isn't about having a large circle of acquaintances or seeking superficial connections, but about forming deep, meaningful relationships where mutual respect, care, and affection are central. Epicurus saw friends as a source of emotional support, comfort, and shared joy, and his teachings encourage us to nurture these bonds in our own lives. In a world that often prioritizes individual achievement over relationships, Epicurus reminds us that true happiness is not found in isolation or self-sufficiency, but in the connections we form with others. In this sense, cultivating deep, authentic friendships is an essential part of the Epicurean way of life. Sharing experiences, laughter, and even hardships with others enriches our lives and allows us to enjoy the pleasures of life in a more profound and meaningful way. Self-care is another vital aspect of the Epicurean life. Epicurus teaches us that in order to enjoy life fully, we must first take care of our own well-being. This includes not only physical care, like eating well, exercising, and getting enough rest, but also mental and emotional care. Mental pleasure for Epicurus is just as important as physical pleasure. Taking time for self-reflection, practicing mindfulness, and engaging in activities that promote inner peace are all essential parts of an Epicurean lifestyle. By taking care of ourselves, we create the foundation for experiencing the simple pleasures of life with greater clarity and joy. Cultivating mental pleasure and inner peace. One of the central teachings of Epicurus is that mental pleasure, rather than physical indulgence, is the highest form of pleasure. He believed that many of the problems we face in life arise from unnecessary fears and anxieties, particularly the fear of death and the fear of missing out. These fears cause us to chase after fleeting pleasures and material possessions in an attempt to fill the void we feel inside. But Epicurus argued that the key to a happy life is to free ourselves from these fears and anxieties and to focus on cultivating mental tranquility. Mental pleasure, according to Epicurus, is about attaining a state of ataraxia, freedom from disturbance. This is achieved by developing a clear understanding of our desires and focusing only on those that are necessary and natural. When we rid ourselves of unnecessary cravings and fears, we are able to experience greater peace and contentment. Epicurus also taught that the cultivation of wisdom is essential to achieving this state of tranquility. By reflecting on our thoughts and actions, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us, allowing us to live more harmoniously and without unnecessary stress. The pursuit of tranquility and self-awareness. The pursuit of tranquility is at the heart of the Epicurean life. It is not about avoiding all discomfort, but rather about cultivating the wisdom to manage our desires and emotions in a way that leads to lasting peace. Epicurus teaches us to seek out a life of contentment, where our needs are simple and our desires are fulfilled in moderation. By doing so, we create a life where joy is not dependent on external circumstances, but on the inner peace we cultivate within ourselves. Self-awareness plays a crucial role in this process. To live an Epicurean life, we must constantly examine our desires, our habits, and our emotional reactions to the world around us. Epicurus encourages us to question what we truly need for happiness and to separate these needs from the desires created by society or external pressures. By cultivating self-awareness, we are better able to live in alignment with our values and create a life of genuine pleasure. Finding contentment with less. In today's consumer-driven world, we are often encouraged to accumulate more possessions, more experiences, more achievements, in order to find happiness. However, Epicurus teaches that true contentment comes not from accumulation, but from the elimination of excess. By learning to appreciate what we already have and focusing on what is truly important, we can find greater satisfaction with less. The art of finding contentment with less is about simplifying our lives and letting go of the unnecessary. This could mean decluttering our homes, saying no to commitments that drain our energy, or reassessing our relationship with money and material goods. Epicureanism teaches us that true wealth is found not in what we own, but in the quality of our relationships, our mental peace, and our ability to appreciate life's simple pleasures. Living an Epicurean life is about creating a life of simplicity, tranquility, and genuine pleasure. By focusing on what truly matters, friendship, self-care, mental pleasure, and inner peace, we can find joy in the small moments and free ourselves from the stresses and anxieties that often dominate modern life. Epicurus offers us a path to happiness that does not depend on external circumstances or the accumulation of wealth, but on our ability to live with wisdom, moderation, and a deep appreciation for life's simple joys. The Stoic life in practice. In this chapter, we explore how to put Stoic principles into action, transforming philosophy into daily practice. Stoicism is not just a theoretical framework, but a practical guide for navigating the challenges of life with wisdom, resilience, and emotional control. By applying Stoic teachings, we can handle stress, maintain our inner peace, and continuously grow as individuals, no matter what life throws our way. Handling difficult and stressful situations with Stoic philosophy. At the heart of Stoicism is the belief that our happiness and well-being depend on how we respond to external events, not on the events themselves. The Stoics understood that life is full of challenges and that suffering is an inherent part of the human experience. However, they taught that we can control how we react to adversity, and that by mastering our responses, we can turn even the most difficult situations into opportunities for growth. When faced with a stressful or challenging situation, the Stoic response is not to react impulsively or emotionally, but to pause, reflect, and choose a response that aligns with virtue. This approach is rooted in the idea that we have the power to control our emotions and our judgments, no matter what is happening around us. For instance, if we face criticism, a Stoic would refrain from taking offense or becoming defensive. Instead, they would reflect on whether the criticism has any truth and how they can learn from it, seeing it as an opportunity for self-improvement rather than an attack on their character. The role of self-discipline, emotional control, and virtue. Stoicism places a significant emphasis on self-discipline and emotional control. The Stoic practice is about cultivating an inner strength that allows us to remain steady in the face of adversity. Emotions like anger, fear, and frustration are natural, but Stoics teach that we should not let them control us. Instead of suppressing our emotions, we acknowledge them, observe them, and then choose how to respond with wisdom and rationality. Self-discipline is also crucial in Stoic practice. It's about developing the ability to act in accordance with reason and virtue even when it's difficult. This means resisting the pull of instant gratification, whether in the form of indulging in harmful habits, chasing after unnecessary pleasures, or reacting impulsively in stressful situations. The Stoic focus is on cultivating virtues such as courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance, which guide us toward better decision-making and a more fulfilling life. Emotional control is essential in the Stoic toolkit. Instead of being overwhelmed by negative emotions, Stoics work to detach themselves from the intense emotional responses that can cloud their judgment. For example, When faced with failure or loss, a Stoic would remember that while they cannot control external events, they can control their perception of them. By reframing a setback as an opportunity to learn and grow, they transform a negative experience into a stepping stone toward personal development. The Stoic Journal: Reflection and Growth. One of the most powerful tools in Stoic practice is journaling. The Stoic Journal is a way to reflect on our daily experiences, examine our emotional responses, and assess whether we've lived in accordance with our values. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, used journaling as a means of self-reflection, helping him process his thoughts and reactions. His meditations are essentially a series of personal notes to himself, where he reflects on how to be a better person, how to respond to challenges with wisdom, and how to live a virtuous life. To create your own Stoic journal, start by reflecting on your day. Consider the challenges you faced and how you responded to them. Were you able to maintain your composure and act in line with your values? If not, what can you learn from the experience? What virtues could you cultivate further to handle future challenges better? Over time, this practice of daily reflection will help you grow in self-awareness, emotional control, and wisdom, allowing you to navigate life with greater resilience and clarity. Turning adversities into opportunities for learning. In Stoicism, adversity is not something to fear or avoid, but something to embrace as a chance for growth. Every challenge, whether it's a setback at work, a personal loss, or a conflict with others, offers an opportunity to practice virtue and improve ourselves. Rather than seeing adversity as something to be endured, Stoics view it as a chance to develop qualities like patience, resilience, and strength of character. For example, if you lose your job, a Stoic would first acknowledge the difficulty of the situation and the emotions it might provoke, such as fear, frustration, or disappointment. But instead of allowing these emotions to dictate their actions, they would pause and ask themselves, "What is within my control in this situation? How can I respond with wisdom and courage?" They might see the job loss as an opportunity to reassess their career path, learn new skills, or shift to a more fulfilling direction. By shifting their mindset, they turn a potentially negative experience into an opportunity for personal growth and self-improvement. Another example is dealing with criticism or rejection. A Stoic would remind themselves that external opinions do not define their worth. Instead of reacting with defensiveness or anger, they would take the time to reflect on the criticism. Does it contain any truth? If so, how can they use it to improve? Even if the criticism is unfair, the Stoic would focus on maintaining their dignity and composure, not letting external judgments shake their sense of self. Practical examples: how a Stoic would handle daily problems. Let's look at a few more examples of how a Stoic might approach everyday problems. Dealing with criticism at work. A Stoic would listen to the feedback without taking it personally, recognizing that the feedback is about their work, not their worth as a person. They would reflect on the validity of the criticism and, if necessary, use it to improve their performance in the future. Managing stress from family obligations. A Stoic might feel overwhelmed by the demands placed on them by family, but instead of succumbing to stress or resentment, they would remind themselves that they can control how they respond. They would prioritize what's truly important and approach family matters with patience and understanding, focusing on what is within their control and letting go of the rest. Dealing with a difficult boss or coworker. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, a Stoic would take a step back, observe their emotions, and choose a response based on reason. They would focus on maintaining respect and composure, understanding that their peace of mind does not depend on the behavior of others, but on their own actions and attitudes. The Stoic life is a life of virtue, emotional control, and resilience. By applying Stoic principles to everyday situations, we can handle challenges with grace, grow from adversity, and cultivate a life of wisdom and inner peace. The key to living a Stoic life is recognizing that while we cannot control the events around us, we can control our reactions. By practicing emotional detachment, focusing on what is within our control, and using every challenge as an opportunity for growth, we can navigate the complexities of life with clarity, strength, and tranquility. Epicureanism or Stoicism? Which philosophy answers your search for happiness? In this chapter, we delve into the central question of this exploration. Which philosophy best answers the modern quest for happiness? Should we seek pleasure and tranquility as Epicurus advocates, or embrace emotional control, virtue, and resilience as the Stoics suggest? We will analyze both philosophies in terms of their relevance today, their impact on mental and emotional well-being, and how their principles might be applied to our daily lives. By the end of this chapter, you will have a clearer understanding of which philosophy aligns more with your personal values and circumstances, and whether you can combine elements of both to create a balanced, fulfilled life. Personal reflection: pleasure versus inner control. The choice between Epicureanism and Stoicism often boils down to a fundamental question. Do we prioritize the pursuit of pleasure or the mastery of our emotions? Both philosophies offer paths to happiness, but they differ significantly in their approaches. Epicureanism encourages us to seek pleasure in its simplest, purest forms. This means focusing on mental pleasure, cultivating friendships, and avoiding excess that could lead to pain. It invites us to find joy in the present moment, in the things that are within our immediate control, like the comfort of good company, a quiet meal, or a peaceful retreat into nature. Epicurus believed that by eliminating physical pain and mental distress, we could achieve a tranquil and content life. On the other hand, Stoicism asks us to focus less on external pleasures and more on internal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. The Stoics believed that true happiness arises from accepting what we cannot control, exercising self-discipline, and cultivating emotional resilience. While they did not reject pleasure entirely, they emphasized the importance of not being enslaved by it. Stoicism suggests that happiness comes not from the absence of pain, but from how we deal with adversity, find meaning in suffering, and live virtuously. So, which resonates more with you? Do you prefer the peaceful pursuit of simple pleasures, or do you find satisfaction in cultivating strength through emotional control and facing life's challenges with courage and virtue? Reflect on your own responses to stress, pleasure, and adversity. Which philosophy seems more aligned with your natural tendencies and long-term goals? The impact on mental and emotional well-being. Both Epicureanism and Stoicism offer valuable insights into mental and emotional well-being, but they approach this in different ways. Epicureanism provides a framework for reducing mental and emotional stress by prioritizing simplicity, mindfulness, and meaningful relationships. Epicureans believe that a life free from physical and mental discomfort leads to happiness. The practice of avoiding excess, cultivating friendships, and enjoying life's simple pleasures can have a calming effect on the mind. Epicureanism helps us find peace by focusing on what truly matters, those moments of mental pleasure that foster contentment. In contrast, Stoicism teaches us to strengthen our emotional resilience by accepting that suffering and challenges are inevitable. Stoics focus on cultivating a mindset that is impervious to external events. This philosophy helps us build emotional control, which leads to greater inner peace and mental clarity. The Stoic approach to life encourages us to detach from the emotional turbulence that often accompanies daily struggles and instead approach life's challenges with rationality and purpose. The discipline that Stoicism advocates fosters self-awareness and deepens our capacity to endure hardship with grace. So, while Epicureanism offers immediate relief from stress by seeking pleasure, Stoicism offers long-term stability by strengthening our ability to cope with challenges and finding meaning in them. Advantages and disadvantages in today's society. In modern society, we live in a fast-paced, highly connected world. The pursuit of both pleasure and emotional control has become complicated by distractions, societal pressures, and endless choices. Each philosophy has its advantages and disadvantages when applied to today's world. Epicureanism. Advantages. Epicureanism offers an antidote to the constant chase for more wealth, more success, more possessions. In a world that often seems obsessed with excess, the Epicurean approach advocates for simplicity and conscious consumption. This can be incredibly freeing. Epicureanism also places a strong emphasis on relationships, which research shows are central to our happiness. By focusing on experiences that bring lasting mental pleasure, like good friendships and shared moments of peace, we can cultivate a more meaningful existence. Disadvantages. However, in today's world of instant gratification, the Epicurean ideal of temperance and mindfulness can feel at odds with the consumer-driven culture we live in. The relentless pursuit of material goods and sensory pleasures can undermine the simple, reflective pleasures that Epicurus advocated. Epicureanism might struggle to address the challenges that come with the demands of modern work and life, where emotional control and resilience are often more necessary. Stoicism. Advantages. Stoicism's focus on emotional resilience and self-control is a valuable asset in today's world of constant change and unpredictability. The ability to manage stress, setbacks, and criticism is essential in a fast-paced, competitive environment. By practicing Stoic virtues and focusing on what we can control, we can find a sense of stability and purpose, regardless of external circumstances. Stoicism also fosters a mindset that helps us adapt to challenges, viewing them as opportunities for personal growth and development. Disadvantages. Stoicism's emphasis on emotional detachment can sometimes feel disconnected from the more emotional aspects of human experience. In a world that values connection and empathy, Stoicism's focus on self-reliance and detachment might be seen as cold or distant. Furthermore, the Stoic insistence on accepting hardship as part of life might feel overwhelming, especially in situations where vulnerability and emotional expression are necessary for healing. Combining elements of both philosophies for a balanced life. Rather than choosing one philosophy over the other, it's possible to integrate elements of both Epicureanism and Stoicism into your life. After all, both philosophies offer valuable tools for achieving happiness and fulfillment, depending on the circumstances. Enjoyment and simplicity, Epicureanism. Embrace the idea of slowing down, savoring life's simple pleasures, and cultivating meaningful relationships. Recognize that happiness doesn't come from excessive accumulation, but from appreciating the small, often overlooked aspects of life. Spend time in nature, enjoy a good meal with friends, or immerse yourself in a creative hobby. All practices that Epicurus would have recommended. Resilience and self-control, Stoicism. Practice emotional control and reflect on your reactions to life's difficulties. Cultivate virtues like wisdom, courage, and temperance, which help you navigate challenges with grace. Use journaling and daily reflection to maintain emotional balance and learn from your experiences. Remember that happiness is not the absence of pain, but the ability to face adversity with strength and wisdom. By combining the reflective and pleasure-seeking elements of Epicureanism with the resilience and virtue-focused aspects of Stoicism, you can create a more balanced, fulfilled life that appreciates both the joy in simple moments and the strength gained through life's challenges. Examples of people living according to these philosophies. Throughout history, many influential figures have embodied the principles of either Epicureanism or Stoicism. Modern-day examples include Epicurean influence. People who adopt a minimalist lifestyle, focusing on conscious consumption, meaningful relationships, and mental well-being, often embody the spirit of Epicureanism. Figures like Marie Kondo, who emphasizes decluttering and finding joy in simplicity, reflect these ideas. Stoic influence. Public figures like Ryan Holiday, author of books like The Daily Stoic, and Tim Ferriss, who frequently references Stoic philosophy in his work, demonstrate the practical applications of Stoicism in modern life. These individuals integrate Stoic practices to navigate modern challenges with wisdom and resilience. Ultimately, whether you lean more toward Epicureanism or Stoicism, both philosophies offer valuable insights into the pursuit of happiness. By reflecting on your own values and needs, you can determine which approach, or combination of approaches, works best for you. The key to a fulfilling life may lie in embracing the simplicity and pleasure of Epicureanism, while also cultivating the emotional control and resilience that Stoicism teaches. In a world filled with distractions and challenges, balancing both philosophies could be the key to living a more meaningful, contented life. Conclusion. What's the best way to live? As we conclude our exploration of Epicureanism and Stoicism, it's clear that both philosophies offer valuable insights into how we can navigate life's challenges and find happiness. Epicureanism teaches us the importance of simplicity, enjoying life's pleasures, and cultivating meaningful relationships. Stoicism, on the other hand, empowers us to build emotional resilience, focus on virtues, and find peace by accepting what we cannot control. The key takeaway is that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to happiness. Both philosophies offer tools to improve our mental and emotional well-being, but it's up to us to determine which resonates most with our current life stage and personal values. Whether you adopt Epicureanism, Stoicism, or a combination of both, the goal is to live a life aligned with your true self. Points for reflection. How can you incorporate these ideas into your daily routine? Do you need more pleasure and simplicity in your life, or more emotional control and resilience? What philosophy, Epicureanism, Stoicism, or a blend, best supports your current needs and goals? Now I invite you to reflect on your own life. Are you ready to apply the teachings of Epicurus or the Stoics in your own life? Or perhaps you feel a balance of both could work best? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're planning to implement these ideas for a more balanced and fulfilling life. If you found this video insightful and empowering, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps us reach more people who can benefit from these Stoic teachings. And if you're looking for more wisdom on how to live a life of inner peace and strength, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Join our community and start transforming your mindset today. Stay unshaken, and I'll see you in the next video.